Welcome back to the pod. Today we're talking about, put this scenario. Imagine playing just 4 years ago for your local GAA club and school, and now today you're going into becoming, just in a few days' time, probably already met him. You're being in the same teammates with the best footballer in the world. He's just won the World Cup, captain of his country, most accomplished player currently in the world, possibly ever, Lionel Messi. Well, that's the scenario here. Yep, the next player we're talking about today is Ryan Carmichael. He's 22, and 4 years ago he was playing for his local school side, St. Patrick's, and also Madden Rapparees. Born the 3rd of August 2001 in Armagh, he played with his local football soccer side, Loughgall, who are a third division side in Northern Ireland League Pyramid in their youth setup until the end of 2017. Then in 2018 he moved to Northern Ireland's second division side. Were a top side in the past and probably will be again. Portadown as a 16-year-old, initially in their youths, but his talent pushed him straight into their senior setup short time later that same year. And by the time he left in 2020, he had amassed in the region of 63 senior appearances with 8 goals in all competitions, which in itself is very impressive, seeing as he was only 18 at that stage when he left. And yeah, at 18, you're thinking he's had such a good career in the second division in Northern Ireland. Obviously, he could go up to the top tier in Northern Ireland or somewhere else, playing first team football in England or the Republic of Ireland maybe, or Scotland, probably England or Scotland. Obviously his career, 18, he's going higher than the second division Northern Ireland. Nothing wrong with being in the second division Northern Ireland at all. Just saying, he's 18, his trajectory is higher. But he makes, I'm not sure it's unusual, but it's definitely the road less travelled route, and a smart route, as proven by other people that have taken it in the past, but also one that, it could go wrong and you could get lost in the wilderness, perhaps, taking that route. He went to the US to play college football, again soccer. I'm going to say intermittently because soccer, I know it's a dirty word in over this side of the world to say soccer. It's football, but seeing as we'll be referring to GAA as well, don't want it to get confused, which is also football here. So he took a 4-year scholarship in business analytics, I believe, which is impressive, which Hofstra University in New York. To note, he got the scholarship not only because his footballing excellence, which obviously was a major part, but also because he's an accomplished student. He was in the top percentage of all schools in his year in maths and nationally. And the move showed he was brave, and more so because it was the start of COVID, it also showed guts that he moved away from his family, security, a possibly easier path to professional football, but he wanted to get an education as well, because he's a smart dude academically as well. So in COVID, you're not knowing when you could get to see your family again. Everything was getting locked down, etc., etc., with zero certainty around anything, playing time included, college included. So to move in that time, it was a brave move anyway, but to move in that time, really, really shows balls, because it could have been all a wasted venture, Obviously, the start of COVID, we didn't know how much upheaval it was gonna be, but it was definitely uncertain times. So yeah, very, very brave, as well as what proved to be a very smart move. Obviously paid off to date. Really, given he had choices, it didn't, wasn't a bad outcome Like, worst case scenario, he would have come out with a college qualification, then he could have moved forward with that or gone back into the pro game after being out of the pro game for a few years. He could have moved back into the pro game at home with that qualification in his back pocket or elsewhere at a high level. Because again, he's only 22 now. Best case scenario was he went into the MLS draft and hopefully got drafted to a team. Any team really, that would be a great scenario. But even at that best case scenario, he exceeded the best case scenario, because not only did he get drafted, but he got drafted to Inter Miami, probably the most famous club in the US now. Not probably, they are the most famous club in the US now, on the 20th of December. So just gone, about just over 2 weeks ago. As a 22-year-old, Inter Miami, of course, owned by the very famous, accomplished in himself, business and football, David Beckham, have a host of top talents. But again, Messi being the best player in the world, it's not even arguably, it's a definite, he's accomplished more than anyone possibly ever in football, but definitely in the current era. I believe prior to the move as well, Messi was his favourite footballer. I read that somewhere. I don't know if that was just clickbait, but also Luis Suarez is joining them in the coming weeks. He's joined, but if they haven't already met up, I'm sure they have, but they'll be going on tour soon. Again, it's a move that can't really go wrong. Worst case scenario, he improves his skill set, training with the top talent, world talent, week in, week out, with one of the most famous sides in the US, in the whole continent of North, South, Central America, and again, now one of the most famous teams in the world. So the spotlight's on the team, which puts him in a great shop window, if he needed it. Best case scenario, he gets into the team, plays week in, week out, which will propel him into the top echelons of professional game and also into senior international football. Just to mention, sandwiched between his move to college football and the MLS now, he had loan spells while he was in college with two pro sides, amateur/pro sides, Georgia Revolution and Long Island Rough Riders, both of which play in the equivalent of the fourth tier in US football. Of course, everyone knows it's not necessarily the same as, like a team can't go from the fourth division into the MLS, but, it's the equivalent more or less of the fourth tier in the US. Also to mention, since his arrival in the US, he's been very prolific on the goal scoring front and also with assists, which is important in today's game, but it's really was always looked upon in the US nearly as much as goal scoring. So, the fact that he has those two statistical boxes ticked puts him very high up in the MLS. He was picked 24th overall in the Super Draft, which is very impressive. Internationally, he has played for Northern Ireland under-19s twice, a while back now. Obviously, if all goes well, in the MLS now and next season, you'd expect him to be propelled straight into the senior setup, or thereabouts. If he's playing with Messi week in, week out, it's not going to be an easy route into the first team because of all those stars that are at Inter Miami now. But, if he is playing, and I'm sure he will, because, he's proven he's a hard worker, and, he'll let his feet do the talking, and it'll be undeniable that his talent will push him into the first team. You'd hope and you'd imagine. But that'll put him straight into senior international football. Again, he's represented Northern Ireland at youth level. He also will be able to represent the Republic, of course. You'd also imagine, depending if he doesn't get caps in the near future, in a few years' time, he's been in the US now for a while, so a couple of years' time, probably, I don't know if it's 5 years you have to be in the US. I don't know the exact details, but you'd imagine the US will be trying to tempt him into playing for them as well. So that might be an avenue. If he's based in the US, he spent a lot of time there, it's done well by him. They might promise him things, he might be interested in making that switch. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully it turns out for Ireland. Competition is obviously high at Inter Miami, and he'll initially probably be playing second fiddle to their marquee signings, but the marquee signings are older. Again, he's on the up, they're possibly on the down. Their names will be pushing him into the first team, but his quality and talent will be forcing his way into the team. So I'd imagine he will be getting into that team next season. The hard work starts very soon. He's made hard decisions so far in his career, and it's definitely worked out. He's a hard-working guy. The world will be tuning in to Inter Miami games next season, as they did the end of last season. A world tour starts on the 20th of January in El Salvador, then on to Saudi Arabia with 2 matches, one against Ronaldo and Al Nassr, then to Hong Kong, then to Japan, and the MLS season. There's another friendly against New Old Boys, I believe. Then the MLS season starts on the 22nd of February. So very, very exciting times for him lie ahead. Irish fans also will be keeping a close eye on Inter Miami. They would have anyway, but now Ireland has a hat in the game, or a hat in the ring, or whatever the saying is. And as always, whatever happens, we'll be watching.